On that note, we'll see Amber in California. You're on with Dr. Darrel Ray.
Hey, thank you for having me on the show. I wanted to talk about religious trauma that I had for my childhood.
Yeah.
And I did not know that was already being discussed today. So perfect.
It's like God wanted you to tune in to this show.
Oh my God, no. But my parents were fundamentalist Christian that kind of have a messianic twist to them, even though they're like not Jewish at all. Kind of a weird thing. But we were all homeschooled. I'm the oldest of four, and we were all homeschooled and shamed, and the whole 9 yards, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 girls, 1 guy. The guy where my brother is considered, to have more. He's allowed a lot more. He's allowed to have friends. We aren't allowed, or at least I wasn't allowed to have any friends. I couldn't have any outside influences, even Christian friends, because they're not real Christians, according to my mother.
So now we're rapidly approaching into cult-like behavior.
Yeah, it sounds like it. How old are you, Amber?
Oh, I'm 21.
Okay, and you're out of the house now?
I left one day and I didn't come back.
Okay, and you're financially on your own?
Yeah. When I left to go live with my grandmother one day, my parents took all the money out of my account, so they literally left me with nothing. I got a voicemail from my dad saying that, I was a credit, or I could harm his credit because of my erratic behavior, and that's why he shut down my account, took all my money out of it. And he didn't want to speak with me as far as religious things go because, he'd rather see me out on the street, as he put it. So,
wow.
Than him be wrong.
Well, feel the love.
Yeah, that's pretty tough to go through, Amber. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, it was a long time coming, honestly. They won't let my sister go to college to be an orthopedic surgeon. They want her to go be a nurse.
Huh.
So, yeah, no, she's 16 and ready to go to college already.
Wow, she's a bright
I'm gonna say something, which I suspect won't bother you that much, but fuck them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'd like to be an orthopedic surgeon. No, I'm sorry, honey. You have a vagina. You must be a nurse, as if that's remotely relevant.
Yeah. Well. I left. The main thing why I left, I was 18 and I started to meet this guy, and he wasn't Christian at the time, but I was dating this guy, and I didn't tell my parents about it because I knew that they would, have a lot of problems with it, and they eventually found out, and they said that my grandmother, who had always told me to follow my own my own way, she poisoned my head, and I had to ask my dad for permission to start dating, and they made me break up with him. So, I could either, stay in the house and break up with him, or I could, be on my own. So I broke up with him. And they immediately went on to Christian Mingle and signed me up on that account. And we started picking somebody for me to date.
Oh, my gosh.
After about 3 days of this, I decided not to come home anymore. And I just left after my shift. I just left with my boyfriend, and who became later my husband.
Yay.
After a while. Yeah, happily married. He, at this time, where my boyfriend, now husband, had decided to become Christian as I was, and I decided to keep my faith for a while. Eventually lost it. Now I'm a Satanist.
Hooray! Good.
Yeah.
So what is your current emotional situation? How are you dealing with your family, your parents, your husband?
It's hard sometimes because, I was homeschooled. I wasn't allowed to have friends. My mother was very, very controlling.
Uh-huh.
She, at one point, didn't allow me outside because, the guy next door liked me. And she thought I would immediately, whore myself out, as she put it, and climb over the fence, get myself pregnant. So, yeah.
So you are dealing with probably, and let me just guess, you're probably dealing with some revelations about how the world really works and some of the knowledge you missed by being homeschooled. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's just a giant hole where, like, a childhood should be.
Right.
I spent most of my childhood cleaning. So,
Wow. Well, I'm just concerned about where you are emotionally, how you're dealing with it. You sound like, do you have a good supportive husband?
yes.
Is he supportive of your Satanist worldview?
Yes. He's atheist himself now, and he's not quite Satanist, but, it's pretty much all in the same boat.
Well, there you go. I love the Satanists. Some of my best friends are Satanists.
Some of the best advocates for church-state separation are Satanists.
I have a little card that I got laminated. I got an official Temple of Satan card that I can just pull out and whip out at any time.
There you go.
Yeah. It's been super hard. I didn't know how to deal with people at all, or talk to people, or carry on a conversation, or, look people in the eye, and my parents would be very upset with me because, I'd be ostracized by my coworkers because it was very weird. And they'd be upset with me for not being a normal human when they raised me to be as isolated as possible.
Right. Okay. So you are currently still struggling, what I'm guessing, with social skills in certain social situations. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, obviously, I've gotten way better at it, but when somebody is mad at me, my initial reaction is to think it's all my fault and then be very depressed.
So you can see the programming that women are secondary to men and yeah, okay. But you're recognizing that, and it sounds like you're dealing with it. Do you have
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Well, I would just say, it sounds like you've got work to do, but you recognize you've got work to do, and that's like 80% of the battle, because you can't even start working on yourself until you recognize. Here's the holes here's my education, holes in my family background. And and I hope you find a way to move on, let your parents go, don't dwell on how they raised you, because they can't do anything about that. Look in the future. Is there anything you're doing specifically, like joining social groups or another women's group, or something that's going to get you in touch with people who've got the skills you want to learn?
No, not exactly. I mean, I very much should. I still keep a contact with my parents because they won't let me be near my siblings by themselves because, worldly influences.
Right.
I don't know. But they very much need me, and they're of the mind that none of their kids could possibly ever have, like, mental issues or ADD or anything. So
your parents' delusions run deep.
Yes, they do.
But it sounds like you're concerned with your siblings more than your parents at this point in time.
Honestly, my parents are a lost cause.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I came out to them as bi, and they called me an abomination. So I was just like, you know what, this isn't going to change. They were upset that I dare mention the word bi in front of my siblings or anything like that.
Well, welcome to the rest of us abominations. I'll join the club, and you can join the club. But
two little letters to terrify parents. I'm bi.
Oh, yeah,
that's for.
Exactly.
Good. Let me just say, good for you that you are concerned about your siblings. And I want to say that's a good thing. They probably could use your help, and not all of them will accept your help eventually. But as long as you keep a little spot open in your life for them, that's good for them. However, do not let your parents use your love for your siblings to manipulate you. Is that happening?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been trying to happening. Like my grandma that took me in, they won't let her see the kids at all, but they keep telling the kids that she's welcome to come down to see them at any time. But they won't let her.
So
they won't give her.
Okay. Well, you can let them know the truth whenever you're in contact with them, maybe. But the main thing is do not let your parents continue to manipulate your life. At some point in time, and you're 21, at 21 you should start being your own adult. You've got your own support system, and you're going to keep a little spot open for your siblings. When they get old enough to leave home, you're going to be there to help them, because I'm guessing you don't want them to leave with the same social deficits that you had. You're willing to offer yourself and your time and your emotional support to them when it's time. Is that correct?
100%.
Good. Well, good for you. But don't let your parents manipulate you. That's the bottom line. What it does is it perpetuates the trauma that the very first thing you mentioned practically when you called in. It helps perpetuate that trauma. And you're trying to get rid of the trauma. You don't want to wait until you're 27 years old and your siblings are all out for you to start dealing with the trauma. You need to start dealing with it now.
Yeah, the one thing to remember, I love the fact that, you're concerned about your siblings, letting them know that you're not going to judge them, that you are always there for them, and if they need a place, if they change their mind or whatever, or if they need to get out, you're there for them. But that means that you absolutely have to take care of yourself so that you can be there for them.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Like my sister knows she can, come over at any time, stay as long as she needs. But it's the others, because every time somebody leaves, they're always saying, oh, this person's on drugs. This person, is out there committing crimes. This is what happens when you leave our house, kind of deal. So
that's the way a cult operates.
I love that over the course of the call, their concerns, in the order that you listed them, crimes was third, but sex and drugs were number one and number two.
Oh yeah, especially for a woman.
I'm a fan of sex and drugs, not a fan of crime.
I am too. I enjoy all of them, but yeah. It's because of that. It's kind of disenfranchised, so I can tell them what exactly happened. But at this point, they're believing my parents more than anything, and I can't expect them to do anything else at this point.
Right. It makes perfect sense. Well, Amber, I appreciate the call. We got a few more callers to get to before we've used up all of Darrel's time. But thank you so much for touching base with us.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Thank you for having me on. You guys have a great day.